humanity. My name is Am Rosen. Welcome to the podcast library, Psychological Keys to Human Fulfillment. You've entered the section of this library titled The Art of Health. How good can you feel? Would you like to find out? It's definitely my intention to help facilitate your understanding of and access to a higher quality of health. Over the podcast that'll be following, I'll be adding on and building for you a comprehensive podcast library of insights and integrated perspectives and practical applications meant to serve in assisting you in obtaining a higher quality of health. We'll start out with the basics of the body, how it's structured, how it metabolically functions, what facilitates and enhances that functioning, what imbalances and derails that functioning. We'll look at various methods to correct imbalances. We want to look at how the environment affects you. From infancy to old age, how do the seasons of your life impact upon the performance capabilities of your body? We will be examining how the states of mind that you have, whether you're conscious of them or not, influence your body's performance. Down the road, we'll get to looking at ways to enhance and even expand your performance capabilities. And well off in the future, we'll even look at the latest in scientific breakthroughs to see what they pretend and how they may be of service in helping you to attain a higher quality of health. I've been puzzling how to best present this to you in this information to make it relevant and accessible to you. For over 3 decades, I've had an ongoing professional practice as a health consultant, facilitating body-mind integration. I've been privileged to work with people from every walk of life and from every age, from expectant mothers to infants to children to teenagers to people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, all the way up through their mid-90s. I've worked with people who were barely educated and struggling just to work. I've worked with the highly educated and professionally credentialized, and even at times with the rich and famous. Obviously, according to their stage of life, the social, the cultural, the sexual, and the environmental orientations they've been processing through, each person, and especially in consideration of their present circumstantial needs, has their own unique need in approaching the vitality that you need to function with. Which brings me to the art of health. The art of health involves individual application. In health, of course, we want to make use of the very best that science and technology may have to offer. But in health, you're not trying to adjust someone to some standardized norm, obtained from some mass statistical average, however insightful that may prove to be in your deliberations. In health, you're adjusting someone to the ongoing comfort level of their individual dynamic. In order to practice the art of health, you have to be able to understand how all of these factors come together, especially the influences of the state of mind that the person is in, and orient them in such a way as to facilitate the most appropriate, adequate, and effective means for them to align themselves with their body. I've decided to orient these podcasts in the form of a health consultation. I'm going to be addressing all of you collectively as if you were one individual, humanity. It will be as if you've all collectively come to me as one person for a health consultation. Now, For those of you that might have seen it or might not, in the years 2001 and 2002, I recorded about 30 shows on public access cable in Los Angeles. The show was titled, "It's Intelligence, Stupid." Now, on those shows, I started to introduce the various topics that I'm going to be covering for you in much greater depth in this podcast library. Now, at times on the show, I wanted to have someone that I could speak to as if we were participating in a conversation. And it was at that time that my old friend Humphrey sat in for me. He was ever so receptive. Well, I've decided to kind of bring Humphrey back. I've redrafted him and, so to speak, I've reincarnated him. He is now humanity. And Humphrey is going to be, as humanity, sitting in to represent all of you during the consulting sessions we have when we're looking at the particulars of health. So, without any further ado, allow me to introduce you to humanity. As I've said, the purpose of these podcasts is to build a reference library of considerations about health for you. However, I would presume that these sessions will raise quite a few questions for you, things that pertain to your individual needs and considerations. As our interaction progresses, I will be building a space where we can interactively process online so that I can respond more directly to your individual needs and inquiries. Now, I'd like you to consider that I've already met with and assessed the current state of health of humanity. And in doing so, I wanted to get a good sense of what humanity's been passing through. So I've done a chronological background questioning interview with humanity. I've asked what kind of illnesses have they've experienced through the years, how they've been treated, were there any lingering effects, were there surgical procedures, for what, how effective were they, were there any residual processes that resulted because of those surgeries, were there breakages, fractures, or sprains in any of the appendages? Have they recovered, or is there any lack of mobility or any reoccurring pain? Have there been outbreaks throughout the years of skin eruptions? What part of the body? What kind of eruptions? How were they treated? Did they go away? Do they keep coming back? Have there been allergic reactions? And how have they been treated? What kind of exercise does the person engage in? Does it achieve what they need? Do they exercise at all? What's their diet like? How do they feel? Do they have indigestion? Do they have gas, constipation, bloating? How have they tried to handle that? What kind of medications have they been prescribed through the years? Have there been side effects from those medications? Have they really alleviated or corrected the problems? And or what kind of recreational substances have a person been indulging in? And how have they felt when they have indulged in those? All of these things will be explained in much greater detail and along the line. I also want to know if there are pains in the body, what the mobility is. Do you sleep well at night? Do you wake up feeling refreshed, or do you wake up still tired? Do you lose energy throughout the day? Do you have headaches? In other words, what's your overall state of vitality? And do you feel mentally sharp and alert, or do you have to drag yourself around trying to force focus? Have you resorted to stimulants, a lot of caffeine? Do you try to handle places where you don't feel comfortable with alcohol or other substances? What is your current state of mind? Are you comfortable within yourself? Are you at ease? Or are you despondent in some way? And how comfortably do you feel about interacting with other people, with the circumstances around you? All right. So I've gotten a pretty good sense of what you've been going through. And now I want to put it all together for you. This will conclude our first podcast. That is Approaching Health Part 1, Basic Considerations. In the next podcast, Approaching Health Part 2, we'll be reorienting the body. And we're going to start to assess what all of this means and see what is the best way to proceed in starting to correct and facilitate a higher quality of health. Thank you for lending your consideration. Until we meet again.